Here's the moment Solidarity TD Ruth Coppinger unveiled the images.
And I would just like to know what the Taoiseach and others think is so offensive about this that it should be banned by a state body. And would you agree with me that we should challenge that?
Deputy Coppinger.
And we should say no. There's nothing wrong with a heart that calls for repeal.
This is a deliberate act.
And there's nothing, we should not allow political censorship.
Finally, an independent review is to be carried out in the North into how serious sexual offence cases are handled. It follows the trial of Paddy Jackson and Stuart Olding, who were acquitted of all charges in a high-profile rape case. Retired Judge John Gillan will lead the review, supported by an advisory panel. The inquiry will examine if the identities of those involved in a case should be anonymous, as is the practice here. That's it for now. More at 8.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to Des Kelly Interiors. Now with more choice than ever in wood flooring. Still at the lowest prices at the new look Des Kelly Interiors.
Cloudy with the odd shower this evening. Cold and showery overnight. Lows of 3 to 7 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball.
In association with Air. Don't miss live and exclusive Premier League action this month on the Air Sport Pack.
This is News Talk.
Hello, one of those Champions League nights at Anfield in store this evening. It's lashing rain in Liverpool. Roma are very much in town. We're going to talk to Graeme Souness and also James Horncastle very shortly. Horncastle at Anfield. Graeme Souness we spoke to earlier on in a TV3 studio. He had just put on his makeup. He was ready to go for action and we grabbed him. And James Horncastle at Anfield looking on. Kevin Kilbane also there. He'll be on TV3 as well this evening, but he will check in with us at full time. Away from the live football, Andy Lee in studio talking Carl Frampton, Katie Taylor and Amir Khan. That is just before 8 o'clock. We'll kick that off. And Conal Keeney back in a Dublin jersey at 35 years of age. He'll be in studio this evening. And Graham Hunter as well with us talking about Iniesta's long goodbye at Barcelona, tearful goodbye. 53106 is the text number. We're on Twitter at Off The Ball. Richie McCormick, it's just me and you this evening.
Date night, Joe. Me and you.
The odd couple.
Together at last. We've been called worse, to be fair, than the odd couple.
Here's a quote for you. I like this. When younger players film live stories on Instagram in the dressing room before a match, I want to hit them in the mouth with a baseball bat.
All right, Joe, calm down.
Daniela De Rossi, step forward.
I was going to
love that guy.
I was going to curse there.
I didn't love him.
I love Daniele De Rossi. Daniele De Rossi has a tattoo on his leg, which warns people about getting tackled.
It's a mistimed tackle on his leg.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's done in the style of
a warning sign.
Yeah, a warning sign. Exactly. That's well done, you. And
thanks, Joe. That wasn't patronising at all.
And it shows one warning sign guy tackling another, and his ankle he's snapping the ankle with a late tackle.
It strikes me that one of our guests tonight would absolutely love Daniele De Rossi. He's kind of shorn from the same kind of same fleece. Yeah.
De Rossi wears number 16, of course, based on Roy. Was a huge Roy fan.
Is that right?
Do you love him a bit more now?
No, I love him a bit less.
Oh well, okay. So huge game this evening. We're going to talk to James Horncastle in the next couple of minutes, to be honest, and then Graeme Souness, we spoke to him earlier, as I said, but we'll play you what he had to say at 7:30. The short version of the Souness story is he is unbelievably confident. He just does not see Roma in with the sniff this evening. They can go out and attack Liverpool, they can sit deep and park the bus. Either way, he's very, very confident this evening. That's the Graeme Souness take.
Mightn't necessarily share his confidence, if I'm being honest. Yeah, okay. I kind of fancy Liverpool to concede tonight. And if they concede, things can get very nervy and very tricky next week in Rome. So, yeah, not as optimistic as Mr. Souness, but then again, you would kind of expect Souness to be optimistic on Liverpool's behalf in the latter stages of the Champions League. Whether they concede or not, certainly their home form is exceptionally good. I was just looking, of their last 20 2-0 European matches at home, they have lost 1. That was Real Madrid in 2014. They're unbeaten in their last 15. They've won 10, they've drawn 5. And on the flip side, Roma's away record is deplorably awful. They are without a clean sheet in their last 26 away Champions League matches. So I don't quite know if Anfield's going to be the place they'll break that one. Scored 3 at the Bridge early part of this year as well in the Champions League. So 3-3, wasn't it? 3-3, and then they beat Chelsea, if memory serves, 3-0 back at the Olympico. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Roma could cause them trouble. We have James Horncastle on the line from Anfield, so I'm going to go to him while he's still there and the going is good. You're there? Ooh, it's loud. James, can you hear us? James Horncastle. James Horncastle. James!
is ignoring us. We'll bring him back in just a second. While we're getting Horncastle back up, let's give people the team news, which is all important. And I mean, you could have guessed the Liverpool team.
You could have, and they're restored to full strength from the side, of course, that drew 2-2 with West Brom just this past weekend. So we'll give you those teams. Loris Karius starts in goal for Liverpool. The familiar back four now of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Dejan Lovren, Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson. In midfield, the trio of Jordan Henderson, James Milner and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. And up front, no surprise, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane and Roberto Firmino. For Roma, they go with a 3-4-3, it looks like. Alisson starts in goal. A back three of Juan Jesus, Costas Manolas, their star last time out with that goal against Barcelona, and Federico Fazio. Across the midfield, from right to left, it's Alessandro Florenzi, Daniele De Rossi, Kevin Strootman and Alexander Kolarov, while Cengiz Under and Raja Nainggolan are either side of Edin Dzeko. Kickoff is at 7:45.
Yeah, I mean, we're all catching up, I suppose, on various European teams. Roma have not played three at the back the entire season. They had done it once before the Barcelona game, and then their coach Di Francesco, who was part of their Serie A winning team back at the end of the 2001, that's right, yeah, decided three at the back was the way to go against Barcelona. Worked very well, and so they're doing it again. We'll ask James Horncastle in a moment just how confident they are in the system, given the relatively few miles on the road with it. So we'll talk to James in a second.
If it works once, sure, why not, Joe?
Yeah. So that's to come in a moment. You have been checking in on Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, he says Roma, considering the vast changes that they underwent last summer, including the arrival of coach Eusebio Di Francesco, says Roma have done remarkable work to get this far in the competition.
Obviously, they brought in a quite good sports director last year. And they did again a fantastic job. So we're losing Emerson and Mo Salah is really difficult. We lost Phil Coutinho. That's not a hobby. It does not even feel like fun. So it's quite difficult to find players like this. If you have them on a specific level, then you lose them. So we have really a similar situation. But we continued believing in ourselves, and Rome obviously the same. They changed manager. We didn't have to do that, at least, but he's doing a brilliant job, and so they have all my respect. And if anybody thinks we two are the underdogs, who cares? We are in the semi-final, and we can go to the final. That's all what I care about.
As charismatic as ever over the last few days, Jurgen Klopp, he sat down and did a big interview with Donald McRae. Usually a good recipe when you have McRae and someone like Klopp. The headline on the Guardian website anyway, I have this helping syndrome. I really care about people.
I love that man.
Yeah.
How can you not love that man? There are people out there who are giving out now thinking, oh, I can't stand him, he's too nice.
Yeah.
He's too huggy.
Talked about how he's wanted to be a doctor when he was growing up. I was young when I thought about becoming a doctor. And then he was looking at his A-level results, but he said to study medicine, you have to be fantastic. So he wasn't quite up to the standard, but he says, I really care about people and I feel responsible for pretty much everything. So he gets a real kick out of helping people. And then he got onto Brexit territory, was the headline it caused headlines all over the place. And he did it with McRae. And then Channel 4 News went out to Liverpool thinking, God, this is kind of interesting. And they asked him about Brexit. As you'll hear, he didn't really want to talk about Brexit. But he's like, well, if you're going to ask me, I mean, he rightly points out, I'm not the person with the best opinions on this. But hey, in society, we just care what people who are famous think.
First of all, I really think I'm again, not the right person to talk about it, but if I'm asked, I give my opinion. So that's it. I'm not the best informed person in the world. So the only thing...
But people listen to you.
Well, that's maybe then the problem. They listen too often to the wrong people. That's why I think a few things happened well, that's why Trump is president of the USA. That's why things like that can happen. So there must be people that are better suited to the job. It's not possible that a country like this, at the end, wow, it's Donald Trump. So, and exactly the same is Brexit. It's not the solution. So, and I said it before, EU is not perfect, was not perfect, is not perfect, will not be perfect, but it's the best idea we had so far. So, and and what I said about this is, historically, it's proven that as long as many powerful countries are together, everything is fine. In a moment when we split and one goes this direction, one goes this direction, there are problems. We all learn from history there will not be that big problems. In a moment we talk about economy, of course, but it's a problem, and I don't understand it, and I didn't understand Cameron when he had the idea. I didn't understand then the people. It's 51, 49 something that you can, such an important thing, You split the country already in the moment when you ask the question. That makes no sense as well. So, and the information was not right. Pro-Brexit was pretty loud, obvious, on buses, on everything. Pro-EU was like, we don't have to, because the people, common sense, will make the decision, and at the end it happened. So that's okay. But I really think that when we, as long as we stick together as Europeans, everything can be sorted in the future.
Amen. What a man. He's juggling stopping Edin Dzeko, scoring and sorting out Brexit.
The fact that he's that aware, that he knows that, you know, because Christian Gurmurthy there asks him, well, people listen to you. And he immediately goes, well, they shouldn't listen to you. They should listen to people who are vastly more qualified.
Yeah, I remember Padraig Harrington making that point to Paul Kimmage in an interview a while back. People listen to my views and stuff. They really shouldn't. I'm good at hitting a white golf ball around the park. And
Klopp would be the same. He'd say, you know, as he pretty much did there, he isn't necessarily the person to ask about these things. There are people more qualified, and the people who are more qualified should ultimately speak better on these things.
So that's been a flavour of Jurgen Klopp's 24 hours in the build-up to this game. James Horncastle is at Anfield. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can, Joe.
Hey. How is your hair coping in the rain?
Luckily, I thought ahead and brought an umbrella, so it's okay. Otherwise, I'd be having quite the perm right now. I'd be probably looking like Graham Souness in 1984.
Well, there are worse looks, James.
No bad thing.
So it is lashing rain there. Give us a flavour of the atmosphere. Are you inside or outside at the moment?
I'm inside. The players are just out on the pitch warming up. The Roma fans have been there. In there for about an hour and a half already in the away end. They tried to get them in early, maybe to dampen the enthusiasm that they were showing. Maybe take the sting out of what is a raucous away support.
So we were looking and we were wondering, would Di Francesco stick with his three at the back, which he recently switched obviously for the Barcelona game, and he's decided it's the way to go.
Yeah, which is I feel like a little bit of a surprise, because one of the rationales for doing that against Barcelona is that Barcelona had two strikers, Suarez and Messi. So by playing three at the back, Roma always have a spare man. Tonight they're going man for man with Salah, Firmino and Mane. Yeah. You know, the quickest, most lethal forward line in Europe, you have to say. So that's a bit of a risk. But I suppose what they're going to look to do is stop Liverpool at source, stop them even getting the ball to those front three by really congesting that midfield with Nainggolan and Cengiz Under doing a lot of work off the ball to kind of help Strootman and De Rossi in the middle of the pitch as well.
Yeah. So those two might drop back into the midfield four, and really they might bunch that midfield with six players and maybe Dzeko as well, and just make this thing a dogfight in the middle. Did you catch that, James?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're really going to look to use Nainggolan's energy because he's someone who can cover every blade of grass. He's a bit like a Belgian Pac-Man. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they match Liverpool's intensity, because I think it's quite clear that Liverpool have the edge when it comes to speed. I'd say the only quick players in this Roma side are Manolas and Cengiz Under. So in terms of the intensity, I think they're going to have to look at bringing it in different ways. So Dzeko obviously is a very different centre forward to the one that they came up against in the quarterfinals with sort of small, nimble, quick players like Gabriel Jesus and Sergio Aguero. So Virgil van Dijk will have a different challenge in that respect. And then also, you've got the two Romans in the side, De Rossi and Florenzi, who'll bring an emotional intensity to this side. So, I think that's they've talked about that, and also really staying compact, because I think what they saw in the two legs against City was how Liverpool won every second ball. So they're going to have to be very compact, close together, so they ensure that Liverpool don't win all those second balls. And I think that's where they felt that Liverpool had the edge on City.
So Roma are third in Serie A. They're 18 points off the pace. Liverpool are third in the Premier League. Who do you favour, James?
I think this side is still going to be alive in going into the second leg. Just being around here, there's so much confidence that Liverpool can not just do it, but do it comfortably. Get this over with in the first half an hour. I think that is to underestimate Roma, who've been continually underestimated in this competition so far. Remember, no one thought they'd get out of the groups. but they topped it, even though there was Atletico and Chelsea in there. No one thought they could come back against Barcelona, and that's what they did. So, I think Liverpool have got to be careful and not take this for granted.
Okay, James, thanks so much. Enjoy the game.
Pleasure, guys. You too.
James Horncastle from a noisy Anfield. I appreciate, listeners, but we thought it was worth going over.
Good news for James's hair and indeed possibly the game tonight. Big Miguel Delaney has just tweeted to say it has stopped raining at Anfield.
Because it was really coming down about an hour ago. Walkinstown, Beckenbauer in touch. Always makes it a good evening.
Always a good text.
He's in the man shed. Lads got married in Rome. Lovely city.
Congratulations, didn't know he was married.
Think they'll get the draw, so that's what his sense is. Have you been to Rome?
Never. Actually, no. Technically, yes, but I haven't actually been in it.
Just the airport.
Flew into Rome to go up to Rimini for the Ireland-San Marino game, the ill-fated Stan visit to San Marino that time. So literally went to the airport and got on a bus for 7 hours and went to Rimini, which was mighty crack.
I was there about 2 years ago. I would heartily recommend it. 2 thumbs up. It's a very small city to walk around. The city centre is. Looks
well on the trip to Italy.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good. And religious or not, the Vatican's well worth the trip as well. Sistine Chapel.
It's a gorgeous thing.
Yeah. Did you know on the Sistine Chapel, there's 7 different rows, I guess, going on. It's 7 different paintings across the roof.
Right.
Michelangelo, I appreciate the guy was good. He made an absolute mess of the first 3 of the 7. He painted them far too small. So it was only, he painted them, kind of up, he's there painting away.
It's like when you're writing an address on an envelope, but you start way too over to the left or way too in the middle, you're like, oh Christ, I haven't got enough room for the road.
The thing is perspective, Yeah. Close is really big, Dougal, far away is really small.
Get it together, Michelangelo.
He went down to floor level, you look up and it doesn't fill the space, it's way too small, it's not very good. And then as it goes on,
gets better.
Way better, he starts to fill the space, so.
It's kind of like this, Joe, it's kind of like this show.
Yeah, somebody wonders if we're taking this 2-man show on the road. We're in talks.
We are off the ball zone, Dermot and Dave.
So that is the story from Anfield. We'll talk to Graham Souness in the next couple of minutes. Where else do you want to bring us?
Plenty of emotional outpouring today from Leinster. Brian O'Driscoll has described Ethan Asewa as the common denominator for all Leinster successes. The province confirming today that both the 35-year-old Fijian and hooker Richard Strauss are retiring at the end of the current season. Leinster head coach Leo Cullen described the duo as 2 of the best players to have ever worn the blue jersey. Asewa won 3 European Cups at Leinster and hopes his second spell will end with victory in Bilbao, of course, next month. And O'Driscoll can see why at 35 Asewa is deciding to step away from playing.
It's funny, I haven't spoken to him for ages, but you get to a certain age, is he 35 or 36 now? And whatever about the body waning as well, I think sometimes, you feel it, you get to a point where there's a disconnect from you and the 20, 21-year-olds. Yeah. And it's not as easy when you're the oldest guy and some of your pals are gone. Shane Jennings, a good friend of his, I know he's still pally with the likes of John Fogarty and that, but when guys on the pitch, when you're looking down, you're going, I'm actually getting to the point where I could be your father or soon to be. I don't know, I think I need to exit stage left. So I'm not surprised that he's finishing up because he's still, he looks as though he's someone, and I get the sense that, similar to me in my final year, that you're treading water a little bit. You do feel a bit vulnerable, particularly out on the wing. I think he looks really good and secure in the centre, but that's because there's help all around him. Whereas, because he's savvy, he won't get exposed badly on the wing. But it's just getting away from him a little bit. The gas, that was once there, isn't really anymore. Yeah, it's funny. I haven't spoken to him for ages. Yeah,
sad to see him go. We're done. We've heard it once. I mean, it was good the first time, but I don't think we need to hear it twice. So. I mean, he's had another fantastic season, even against Exeter at home when there was injuries, Sexton wasn't there, and he took the kicking on and just, has been, is commonly regarded as maybe the best import in Irish rugby ever. You forget when you're watching him this year, he retired for 2 years.
You forget he's 35. You forget he retired for 2 years. He's still, as Brian mentions there, he still has it.
Yeah, you shouldn't come back and be that good when you've retired for 2 years.
This is exactly the point that we were, I suppose, making on the pay-per-view on Sunday. I don't know if you heard it, Joey. I know you're busy elsewhere. But was it Philip Quinn was asking, when's the right time to step away and to retire?
Yeah.
And so often, many people get it far too wrong. You look at the Cloughs of this world. Wenger's obviously the most recent case in point. He's the same, but now at 35, he can still play a bit, but he says, do you know what? Time's time.
Well, he'll bow out as European champion, all things going well. Tristan Gillard Kunkel in touch. to say, I had taken a liking to De Rossi and now it's all starting to make sense, was his point.
Is this because of the Keane thing or the tattoo?
I think it's the quote.
Or the glorious beard.
It's the quote. When younger players film live stories on Instagram in the dressing room before a match, I want to hit them in the mouth with a baseball bat. Daniele De Rossi. Rome looks great, but it's boiling hot in summer. You end up walking around full to bursting with pasta and pizza dough.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Makes for a sweaty, uncomfortable few days from his nibs, which is a word of warning.
To be fair, that's just what I do here anyway. So I might as well do it with a bit of sunshine on me.
Yeah, that is your life. You know, I went in November and it was just lovely. It's nice. 15 degrees, perfect walking around weather. Still have a bit of ice cream. Well recommended if you can. So where do you want to go?
To punch us down, Willie Mullins is closing the gap on Gordon Elliott in the race for champion trainer, although in the past hour or so Elliott has maintained his lead. He trained a 92 shot, Mullins did on the so to victory in the feature race of the opening day of the festival, the Boyle Sports Champion Chase. Odds on favourite Duvan was second in that one, with Atois Phil in third. Earlier, Mullins saddled Draconian, a 25-1 winner of the Grade 1 Herald Champion Novice Hurdle, while Rachel Blackmore guided 12-1 chance True Self to victory in the Killashee Handicap Hurdle. Elliott did train a 1-2-3 in the Goff's Land Rover Bumper, with 5-1 chance Commander of Fleet coming home an 8.5 length winner of that one. Elliott and Davy Russell then combined for victory with 16-1 chance The Storyteller in the Grade 1 Grow-Wise Champion Novice Chase in a thrilling finish to that one. And now elsewhere, Leinster dominate the shortlist for the European Player of the Year. Man of the match in their semi-final win over the Scarlets, Scott Fardy, is joined by his teammates Tyke Furlong and Johnny Sexton. Completing the 5-man shortlist are racing pair Maxime Machinot and Leon Nakarawa. Elsewhere tonight, the quarter-final lineup for the EA Sports Cup will be completed. A trip to Cove Ramblers awaits the winner of tonight's meeting of Shamrock Rovers and Longford. That's in Talla. While Shelbourne welcome Drogheda to Tulka Park with a meeting with Derry City. The card for both sides, and both games kick off at 7:45. As they do in the Championship, Cardiff looking to take a step closer to the Premier League tonight. They need to win away to playoff hopefuls Derby to extend their lead over Fulham. The sides have been involved in plenty of needle in the past few months, with both managers exchanging barbs and players involved in Twitter spats, something that Daniele De Rossi would hate, and it's also something Neil Warnock isn't fond of, but he says it's all in good fun.
There's always going to, you know, when you're fighting for what we're both fighting for, you know, there's got to be an edge, hasn't there? Same with the fans and same with the players. I mean, the players get on quite well with each other, if I'm honest. I know they had the so-called Twitter thing. I call it a different word, but you know, the banter was good from both sides really, and it was light-hearted. So, you know, there'll be a lot of shaking hands at the end of the game, I'm sure there will, with the players. And you look at, you know, like I say, you look at their team sheet, they've got a lot of Premiership players, haven't they? So, you know, it's one of those things that we're just glad to be punching up there with them, you know.
One of Warnock's former sides, Barnsley, can move out of the bottom three in the Championship tonight with a win away to Nottingham Forest. And as I say, both games kick off at 7:45. And just a quick update as well from Punchestown. 16-1 chance Callum River, 16-1 chance that is Callum River, taking the Dooley Insurance's flat race, the final race of the 7-race card this afternoon.
Niall and Cork has been in touch.
How Niall?
So, Joe, you're saying the Eternal City is, quote, worth seeing. Watch out, Michael Palin. Fair point.
I'd like your underwhelming travel guide.
Have you heard Rome is a good tourist spot, Richie?
You'd be like a less enthused Alan Wicker. Be good stuff.
I thought Rome was fantastic. Beautiful. Lived up to expectations, Niall. Put that on the banner.
Lived up to expectations. Joe Malloy off the ball.
Yeah, that'll do the trick. I remember meeting Nisewa at one of your Off the Ball Outside broadcasts. After he was interviewed, he hopped on his bike and told me he had 30k to do and then dinner. Total pro, says somebody. And there was one more point to get to. Oh yes, you mentioned EA Sports. It just jogged it in my memory. I'm reading that new Tiger Woods book.
Right.
It's really, really good. We're definitely going to get the authors on, because Woods is just a horrible person. He just comes out of this book dreadfully. They've done about 400 interviews, spoken to people who've had brief encounters with him, not just those kind, but don't know him overly well.
I wasn't going to suggest anything. You didn't need to look like that, Joe.
Yeah, in case people thought it was a euphemism. And people who know him reasonably well. And funny, the EA Sports thing, I was just reading the chapter last night where they launched the Tiger Woods game. That's what jogged it in my memory. They wanted, by the way, to be able to drive the ball 500 yards just because it's a computer game. And Woods was adamant it had to be realistic. So he said, I drive it 339 with the wind. That's as far as it goes, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, just here's a small, tiny anecdote which was the last thing I read last night in it, which kind of captures Woods. Basically, the overall theory or finding of the authors is Woods was raised as a brat, like spoilt. You don't have to say thank you, please. You're a prodigy from the age of 2. So he used to stay with Mark O'Meara and his wife at the Masters. The O'Mearas have rented the same house from the same lovely woman in Augusta every year for years. She would move out, supplement her income given the house. So the year O'Meara wins the Masters, Woods is staying with them. And it's they all go back to the house, it's a big celebration, and Mark O'Meara's wife has called in to the neighbours next door, who she's got to know down the years because the O'Mearas are nice people. And so she's in there having a drink, and Woods is telling Mark he's going to go next door and check what time we're leaving at for the Champions dinner. And Woods goes next door, and the woman whose house Woods has also then stayed in for a number of years happens to be next door because she knows the neighbours and she knows Mrs. O'Meara. And she goes up to him. Tiger comes in to check what time they're all leaving for the Champions dinner that night. She comes up to him and says, "Oh, hi Tiger, I'm the woman whose house you've been staying in for the last few years. I just wanted to say hi, it's lovely to meet you." Tiger stares at her for a second, says nothing, turns to Mark O'Meara's wife and says, "The lads want to know what time we're going at," and walks out.
Oh.
Bizarre.
What a bastard.
I mean, and it's littered with this kind of stuff. It's just really odd. And so they interviewed her. That was her recollection of the story, and I presume they've backed it up with some other memories of it or testimonies. But just, you know what I mean, like rude. It wasn't like if he engaged with this woman, he'd have to sign 1,000 autographs. It was like a private situation. He was literally staying in her house and continued to for years after that.
Give him a clip around the ear.
I know. Anyway, that's a tangent. So we'll get to Graham Souness.
I thought you were going to comment on Tiger Woods' fondness for the EA Sports Cup. No, he admires Derry City's record in the past decade.
No, I haven't got to that.
Says they've done remarkably well of the Candy Stripes in the past number of years.
I haven't got to that chapter yet. But incredible rudeness to people.
Wow.
Time and time again is a theme in the book.
He seems to be on a...
charm offensive.
Yeah, he seems to be trying to rectify all of that.
I know. I'd like to get the version of the book in 10 years' time where we find out if behind the scenes how he would react in that situation now with the woman in the house.
Yeah, like it's very difficult, no matter who the person is, to write a complete autobiography of somebody who's still only in their early 40s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they've still got, notionally, and touch wood for them, half their life to live.
Yeah, and maybe have decided to improve themselves a touch. But the blame, if that's the word, is definitely put at Earl Woods' door, that Tiger was just raised in the knowledge that you're better than everyone. You don't have to say thanks or please. You will get stuff for free. You're a pro athlete. That's the way this is going to be. So you don't have to say hi to the woman whose house you're renting in Augusta.
Kind of like Kilban.
He hides it better. So before we go to Graham Souness, Carling, the official beer of the Premier League, is bringing you closer to the Premier League. And thanks to Carling, it's a really good prize this. You can win tickets to a Premier League game of your choice next season for you and a friend with return flights, accommodation and €250 spending money. So it's the game of your choice next season. A really nice choice to have to make. For your chance to win, simply identify our mystery voice who's looking forward to a night of Champions League football and a takeaway.
Okay, the pizza and the hot dog. Okay, come on there.
Text your name and answer to 53106 for 30 cents. We'll announce the second of this week's finalists for the prize by the end of the show. Terms and conditions apply, and always remember to drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie for more info. The plan this evening, Andy Lee in studio around 8 o'clock, talking about a few bits and bobs going on in the world of boxing. He was at Carl Frampton's fight on Saturday. We'll have Graham Hunter on the football show, and naturally it will be all eyes on Anfield this evening. We'll talk to Graham Souness next.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
In association with the Air Sport app, allowing you to cast your favourite sporting action from your tablet or mobile phone straight to your TV.
News Talk Breakfast.
There is a perennial problem of severe flooding the whole length of the Shannon. If you had a big pipeline sucking up a load of that water and pumping it to Dublin and helping to resolve another problem in Dublin, would you not be solving two problems with one pipe?
The pipe will do absolutely nothing to alleviate the flooding situation in and around the Shannon. What it will do is cost taxpayers a huge amount of money to pump water 200 kilometres across the country to a city with 57% leakage.